Okay, let's go.
Okay, I was just teasing, Craig. This isn't good news.
No, it's not. Well, maybe it might be.
It might be. You never know. But let's bring it home to Lexington because there is major movement at the University of Kentucky, and not all of it is kind to the Big Blue Nation as we were hoping for. The headline that hit Wildcat fans hard today is that Márcio Santos is headed elsewhere, signing with Louisiana State University, the old LSU Tigers men's basketball team, and not Kentucky. And Craig, this one is another stinger because for weeks there had been real chatter that Mark Pope's staff was aggressively pursuing this guy, at least in the last 10 days, as a major front court piece. And all of a sudden, he went from visiting him in Israel, where he was playing professionally.
Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
He flew to another country.
Flew into a war zone. To recruit. Couldn't land this recruit.
And you remember his stat line on the game.
0 for 0 for 0
for 0. Yeah.
So now he's off the board. BBN's asking, what now? This is what the chatter is, and tell me if you've heard the same thing and where we are. Social media message boards, the reaction has basically been split into three camps. The first one, frustration. I mean, that's obvious. Some fans are saying Kentucky keeps finishing second on major targets, or third or fourth. That's been a repeated theme in online chatter. Close, but not close enough. Whiff.
Whiff is the big word now.
Yeah, there's concern about whether NIL structure, roster certainty, or simple recruiting misses are costing UK in these final decisions. The second camp, and it's one that we have tried to stay in, I think, and we are trying to be positive about this. It's let's trust Mark Pope and the staff, and that is relax. We have 12 good players. Pope is constructing a roster that may be unconventional, but it is deliberate. And this camp believes, and I to an extent I believe this, that Kentucky is prioritizing proven portal production, positional versatility, guys who can play multiple spots, mature veteran pieces, and culture fits over star ranking, and that there are still some dominoes left to fall. Mm-hmm. But there's that third group. And Craig,
there's one more thing, but keep going.
At Kentucky, roster building patience lasts about 10 minutes, right? Yeah. Fans expect elite talent to come to Kentucky. They expect names. They expect Final Four caliber pieces. When targets like Santos go elsewhere, pressure immediately turns toward who's next. Yeah. That's where this gets interesting because we don't know what
you heard about that 17-year-old that might reclassify?
Which one?
I don't know. I ain't got his name. The very first one we talked about.
Yeah, and there still isn't any movement.
Offered last year when he was 16.
Yeah,
nothing. Okay.
It's just absolutely nothing at this point. I think my concern is that UK doesn't seem to have a plan. There doesn't seem to be a focused
not now
architecture of where we're going with this.
We're desperate.
And it appears that Mark Pope is focused on this experience, roster balance, wing shooting depth. But the concern is that we don't have any interior size. And I'm going to throw something out there right now, Craig, that should concern you tremendously. There are reports coming out as of last night that Malachi Moreno,
that's what I was going to bring up,
has snuck in to the first round talks.
Yeah, late first round.
And if he does, the money is going to be fairly equal to where he would be at the University of Kentucky. If Kentucky loses Malachi Moreno,
forget it.
We were talking about having great rebounders and things of this nature because of he's coming back with experience. That's your centerpiece down low is Malachi Moreno, your Kentucky kid. Now I will say this.
And how many players would have to play out of position because of that?
Oh, I mean,
would Ken Williams go to a 4 and the 4 go into the 5? the two other big players we got that aren't centers?
I think you'd have to. I mean,
Cam's a 2 and a 3, right? He's a guard and a forward, shooting forward, small forward. And one of the best players returning with Moreno. And with Moreno, the thing that might lure Moreno away, he'll go to a top NBA team, which means he'll get like the same money, like you said, plus he will get time to work. He won't get much minutes, but he'll get time to work with NBA professional athletes. And
right.
will that make him better working with the pros in practice every day? And he'll get some preseason time. Or will he do better by playing every game at UK against mid-level college players?
I think that's exactly where I was going with this, is that, he would sit the bench for any team, even a team in the, bottom end, or he'd be in the G League, one or the other.
Mhm.
But look Reed Shepherd succeeding this year proved that spending a year in the G League is not purgatory like it used to be.
Yeah, 'cause he was scoring 40 and 50 points every time they'd send him down, and they'd be forced to bring him back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So, the other thing that hurts about this is that, every time Kentucky is mentioned, another name, Obinna Akizi Jr., an elite 7-footer, 5-star center, committed to Louisville this last
gone,
weekend.
and that hurts.
And
that hurts bad.
I mean, he's reclassifying to join Louisville,
Right.
and chose Louisville over Kentucky. So I think a lot of Big Blue Nation is saying that, I say to you all the time, we can live with missing on a player. We can live with missing on Tyron Stokes, okay? But when several targets, like 13 of the top 15 in the portal class,
and 14 of the top 20.
Yeah.
And we miss on every one of them.
These guys have visited the University of Kentucky, and you haven't signed 2 or 3 of them? You haven't signed one of them?
Yeah.
And
Stokes played us. Stokes played us.
Yeah.
And we weren't even smart enough to do that because we didn't answer the phone calls from KSR and whoever the national guy was to warn us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say this. I'm a positive guy. You're a positive guy when it comes to UK. We want what's absolutely best for this. But do you think BBN is getting anxious, or is it just off-season noise? You guys comment down below and tell us what your thoughts are. Are you getting nervous? Are you getting anxious? We have 12 players. I mean, we're going to add a couple of walk-ons probably, but are you getting nervous, or is this just simply off-season noise? Craig, your thoughts on that?
Well, on social media last night might have been the most brutal night I've seen this whole recruiting season.
I cannot believe that Coach Pope did what he did last night, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm not even talking about where he said, send me questions. I'm talking about off of that.
Yeah.
But I forgot about that. We should have played some of those. We should have showed some of those questions. But the other podcasters that are just straight UK all the time, man, they are blistering Pope.
They are, and
it's not fair.
And I'll even, KSR and those guys, even Ryan Lemon, who's usually the, kind of the middle of the road. I mean, they're very anti-Pope right now, and they'll say that they're not. Matt Jones, I try to be the anti-Matt Jones a lot in life, but he's brutally negative on everything that's happening here, and it's warranted.
Not the only one.
No, it's warranted criticism, but it's okay to criticize the coaching. Let's not criticize the kids yet. We don't even know what we have yet, but you're whiffing on a lot. I mean, you're not landing 2 or 3. You're not landing 1 right now. So you got to be worried about what's going on with the culture. Last night, Mark Pope went on X and essentially said, "Hey guys, I've been gone, recruiting and doing all this stuff. I'm happy to be back. Ask me any questions over the next 48 hours. I'm going to do my best to answer as many as I can." 1,600 comments within the first hour, Craig, came across. And I would venture to say 70% of them were not positive. And some of them were very negative.
Probably fair. I'm looking it up now. 2.5 thousand comments.
Yeah. So 2,500 comments, but a majority of them were at the beginning. I know there's been some videos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were texting back and forth, amazed at how fast those questions were coming in.
Yeah. I will say that some former players were in the comments section. Ramel Bradley was one that stood out. We're basically
Yep.
saying, "What can I do to help develop these players? Let me know. I'm, asking for a friend, but
All-world guard coming in and help out.
yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna have to do that. I think you're gonna have to get some old school guys in here, some old heads that, played for UK, played in the NBA. But at the end of the day, I'm just gonna say it like everybody else is. Until you get me a GM, somebody that understands the business, uh, you're never gonna succeed at this point in my
Yeah.
mind. I think your team will be good. I think Kentucky will be great. I don't think that the coaching staff will get where they want to be without having a GM because the game has changed significantly over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I put a question. I sent a question to Coach Pope and said, "What would it take to get Rajon Rondo to come to UK?" And of course, and it generated a bunch of comments, and several of them said, Rondo's in the lead for the New Orleans Pelicans job. But I said, well, think if he doesn't get the job, because it's not a given.
Nothing is.
You're right. If one of the elite guards in our lifetimes, from the NBA All-Star, NBA champion, he's even got a nickname of Playoff Rondo.
Yep.
That his fellow players gave him. His fellow NBA players across the whole league call him Playoff Rondo because he just gets that much better in the playoffs, where a lot of stars will drop off.
Well, and
he rises.
Let's not sugarcoat it either. He's got a son that's in 8th grade right now that is a stud basketball player. So
if you're a guard and you say, "Hey, Rajon Rondo's my head assistant coach. You want to learn from the best, one of the best in the last 30 years? Come to Kentucky."
Yeah.
And then his son being going in 9th grade this year is already all world.
Yeah.
I mean, he's known across the country already.
Yeah, Pierre Rondo. It's gonna be interesting. We're gonna have to keep an eye on that. But the next story may actually even be bigger long term than just current basketball recruiting. Reports, including discussions around On3 and Lexington Media, say Eli Capilouto, president of the University of Kentucky, listening tour that he had, is exploring whether Kentucky should split the athletic director role into 2 leadership positions as part of replacing longtime AD Mitch Barnhart. And honestly, it's not a terrible idea. It makes a lot of sense. Role 1 would be the business revenue CEO. This person would oversee NIL strategy, donor relations, Champions Blue alignment, sponsorship, media rights, football revenue growth, budgeting, facilities development, ticket sales, premium experiences. Basically, your chief business officer of UK athletics. I don't care what you call it. You should have that position anyway. That person should be controlling that.
Who does that person report? Who does the coach? And I mean, who's the athletic director? And then the co-athletic director, who's the final decision maker?
Well, I think that's
the thing when you have equal titles.
Well, I think you'd have equal titles because if it's about NIL strategy, that information would go to the business guy, and then the second athletic operations or competitive director, if you will, this role would focus on hiring coaches, retaining coaches, compliance, Title IX oversight, student athlete welfare, academic performance. That's still a thing. Facilities use, competitive strategy across sports. It becomes more of the sports side, culture side leadership with football, basketball, baseball, Olympic sports, day-to-day athletic excellence. But my point is this: football has figured this out, and they've essentially created their structure the way that they needed.
And women's basketball,
which we'll talk about in a second. But for some reason, the basketball team is just anti-change to what the rest of the world is evolving to at this point. And they simply don't want to do that. But the problem is that if you create these 2, we've talked about the benefits. The bad part is if you create these 2 spots, just like you said, who am I reporting to? Because I could be talking about NIL deals, but if I screw up the NIL deal, that could affect coaching. So I might be both of the guys trying to figure out what's actually happening here.
Yeah, who's the decision maker that if they screw it up, you can fire them, because if the one AD's got a Tyrann Stokes level player, he says, "Hey, the coach wants this guy bad," and the financial guy says, "Nah, he's not worth it." Who makes the decision?
I think it's easy to say it's a good idea, and it has benefits to it. You have to have somebody where the buck stops, right? You
Yeah.
have to have a guy that makes the decisions, and you're not creating that environment when you have too many people that can ultimately have a say in those final decisions.
Have the AD and then the GM and then
That's
the
what I
coach.
think. I mean, why don't you have an AD and then you have
That
a
works for every NBA team, every NFL team, every NHL team, every MLB team.
and it's working for NCAA teams at this
So,
point.
yeah, and it's got a history of 100 years, 75, not 100 years.
Yeah.
So, why are we not employing that at UK?
Well, I don't know, and as days go on, we're gonna have to have some
And
answers
I've
on
got a question for you
that. Hit me with
that
it.
I saw last night. On those 14 to 20 players or 13 to 15, why are they not? We've got the venue, we've darn sure got the fan base, we've got the practice facilities, we've got the TV contracts, we've got the history. Why are we not landing those players? Does it fall down to one thing, and it's that they don't like Pope, or they don't have faith in Pope making him better?
I don't know that it's they don't like him. I don't think that they want him to coach them, and that's two different things.
Yeah.
You know, there are lots of guys in the NBA who are not player friendly, but guys love playing for them, right? Same thing in NCAA in college. You have guys who are tough coaches, right? Bobby Knight, great example.
Coach Pop in the NBA.
Yeah, people were terrified of Coach Knight. People loved playing for Coach Knight, you know? So I think there's that aspect of it, but I think it's bigger than that. I think it's not just Coach Pope. I think there is a disconnect between the entire basketball operations program that is not understanding how the sport has evolved and what needs to go into this, and they are not media savvy. They are not they're not savvy with what these kids want to hear. They're just saying things like, you know, you want to wear this Kentucky jersey, and you know it's got all this tradition. These 17-year-old kids don't give a darn about basketball tradition, right? They don't care about that.
Who are two of the most media? Does Calipari got the number one recruiting class this year?
Darn close.
Yeah. Darn close. And so who's the two most media savvy coaches? Patino and Calipari. Calipari's number one.
Right.
And he's back. He's back, baby, however they want to say it down there.
Yeah.
He's got I think it's the number one recruiting class right now.
Well, it's between him and Michigan right now.
Yeah,
and
he's top 5 next year in all the preseason polls. So Cal's back.
So, and nothing will hurt the UK fan base worse than if Calipari makes a Final Four. I mean, I'll tell you right now.
What set on Calipari's emotional thoughts? What made him just say, "I'm just going to ride it out"? What happened at UK that?
Well, and that's why,
Calipari's not riding off to the west. He's back to a top level coach again.
And maybe some of that was getting let go and thinking that his time was up and you need a little impetus. I mean, Patino's riding on that too right now. But
caused him to not give a crap.
Yeah, there's something in
4 years.
Yeah, there's absolutely something, and it may be something as simple as there may be donors that they tell him that he has to kiss up to, and he doesn't like those donors, right?
Yeah.
We could have donors making demands that they say you have to give it to him, and that's a terrible situation if that's the case. But I think at the end of the day, you know, we know Calipari's a good coach, but he was phoning it in the last few years. He wasn't great.
There'd be a PhD study. Why did he change from being so enthusiastic, being such a great coach, to laying down? I mean, that's all you can say.
Yeah.
And now he's got Jerry Jones and whoever owns the Tyson Foods, whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah.
They're Arkansas's number one supporter. So you got 2 multi-billionaires that are supporting your program, and we got one.
Yeah. Well, it's frustrating, and I don't know what the cultural problem is, but I hope it gets fixed. And I think the only way it gets fixed is if you bring a GM that understands business.
Yeah.
And we got to get an AD. This is going on a little too long. Our AD leaves in a month, Craig. He's done in a month, and we don't have anybody to fill the role.
let's say we lose 5 of the first. Let's say we lose 5 of the December games.
Which is possible,
Does
considering
Pope make it to January with
Man.
Billy Donovan hanging out there?
I
Because Billy Donovan's not going to coach for a year. He's taking a year off, he said.
I hate to lose him to Tennessee or something. I mean, imagine if Barnes retires.
Hey, Florida's after him hard because they're my friend in Florida, Brian, sends me stuff all the time, just digging it in, I think, but it's all
They
good.
can enjoy it now. Yeah, it's all
The
good.
Florida coaches might be going to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if they've let their coach go, but that's the rumor mill in Florida. If they lose him, then they're wanting to bring Donovan back big time, back to Florida.
Well, let's finish on some really strong news and good news because Kentucky women's basketball may have landed another huge get. Kentucky officially signed. I'm going to butcher this. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat it. Ajša Sivka, 6'4" guard, forward prospect with pro level pedigree, widely viewed as WNBA caliber talent. She's actually already been a draft pick and decided not to go to the WNBA. She's one of Europe's elite young players. This is not a normal addition, Craig. That's a game-changing addition. She gives Kentucky elite size on the wing, stretch floor shooting, matchup nightmares offensively, professional international experience, rebounding, and length. She's 6'4", Craig, and handles the ball.
Big.
And
that's big for a female guard.
Yeah, this is modern basketball. So let's just talk about real quick before we wrap up the section here. But this is Kentucky women's roster for 26-27. All right. Point guard Diana Collins, transfer from the University of Alabama, veteran guard, steady ball handler, can score downhill, SEC tested, big upgrade in maturity and experience at the lead guard spot. Your shooting guard's Asia Boone, who's coming back, who already has set every record that there is. She's your shooter, floor spacer, defensive versatility. She knows Brooks' system. You now have your wing player in Sivka at 6'4". This is the headline piece. Former top 10 WNBA draft pick. And I mean, this is like a European Caitlin Clark. I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. That's what this is. Professional overseas experience, elite shooting touch, can handle, create, rebound. Your power forward is someone that we talked about the other day, Mayara O'Neal, 6'4", transfer from the University of Florida. The O'Neal name might sound familiar because she is the daughter of Shaquille O'Neal. She averaged 14 points per game, 6.5 rebounds production, length, rim protection, physical SEC body, legit front court. And then, of course, you're only bringing back your all-world piece in Clara Strack. She's your star centerpiece, one of the best post players in America, elite shot blocker, excellent touch offensively, rebounding machine, and preseason All-American conversation already. And this is your bench. Ayanna Patterson, who transferred in from UConn.
Right, who was in the finals again, and she left UConn to come to UK.
So Kentucky has added Collins, O'Neal, Patterson, Sivka. It's an A+. It's an A+. Kenny Brooks nailed it.
They're going to be fun to watch.
They're going to be a lot of fun to watch. Now, let's compare them to national powers. University of South Carolina, the team that, is all world. Still elite talent stockpile, but they mostly reload through recruiting more than portal splashes. The edge probably goes to South Carolina with the overall talent depth. But the edge to Kentucky is that we have portal impact pieces and immediate fits. University of Connecticut, still blue blood, still dangerous, but roster construction is more traditional. They're going through that right now. They probably have one of the best coaches of all times up there, if not the best coach.
The best coach, yeah.
But Kentucky has physicality and transfer impact. Then you have USC. They're loaded through the portal NIL, but now Kentucky belongs in that conversation with them and LSU and others. So the blunt read is this, Craig. If this roster
beat LSU this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll probably finish second in the SEC.
Kentucky women should begin next season ranked somewhere in the top 10 to 15 nationally. And there's a legit argument that they should be viewed as a dark horse national championship contender. This isn't hype. This is not just Big Blue Nation hype. They are a real contender. And honestly, right now, Kenny Brooks has built a cleaner offseason than Mark Pope. Your thoughts?
Well, and I haven't seen any preseason, way too early top 25s, but with this edition here, I don't see how UK's not in the top 10 with all the others that they've got this year.
Yeah.
Plus, we were lucky as can be that Brooks didn't take the Virginia job.
Yep.
So that tells you that he's a wanted, marked coach.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
other programs want him. So he
Yeah.
decided to stay, which was just to our great luck.
Yeah.
And as he goes each year, he's going to be able to get better and better players. And then when UConn, what's his name, when he retires,
Yeah, Gino
then
Ariel.
that's going to leave Don Staley at South Carolina.
Yep.
And the coach out at USC, and maybe Kenny Brooks.
Yeah. Well, this recruiting is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we're gonna.
He's putting Pope to shame.
And by the way, if you haven't experienced the Memorial Coliseum, the historic Memorial Coliseum experience during UK women's game, and if you haven't been to UK's Memorial Coliseum in the last 20 years, it is totally different now.
Completely different.
There are end zone seats. There are lights experiences. There's new video boards. Take a Sunday afternoon when they're playing one of their SEC games. Go down with the family. It is well worth it. I will.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing it this year. Me and Teresa going up there.
Yep.
I've never been to a women's basketball game, but with what he's got on the floor now, it should be interesting as could be to watch.
Okay, let's go.